I absolutely cannot believe what I just saw from Dodger fans tonight at Dodger Stadium. Hey, this is Mike Nelson of Dodgers Digest. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I want to thank the almost 13% of you that are watching these videos who have already subscribed, but 86% of you have not hit that subscribe button yet. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any Dodger news. You know, me and Brad J are bringing you everyday Dodger content. Let's get right into it. Of course, today was all about Shohei Ohtani, an ovation. Just an amazing moment, to say the least, for Dodger fans across the world. And, of course, here in LA, it was one of those moments where, you know, I had not heard Dodger Stadium get this loud in a long time for a regular season game. It's been quite a while. I mean, this was the fans, it's Friday night in LA. You always had those late arriving fans. Well, guess what? Today the fans were there on time. You could see on social media fans were trying to get there on time. The traffic is, of course, terrible here in LA on Friday nights, but a lot of fans were trying to make it out there in time for Ohtani's first at bat, which everybody knew was going to happen in the bottom of the first inning with Ohtani, batting, of course, lead off. And that's exactly what happened. Ohtani, came out, and it was one of those amazing moments, definitely one of the loudest moments ever at Dodger Stadium, especially for a regular season game. And it was well-deserved, with Ohtani basically creating the 50-50 club yesterday afternoon, getting into 51-51. And then, of course, today making it 52-52. I mean, it just never, it's just pretty crazy what we're seeing here from Shohei Ohtani day in, day out. I mean, yeah, there was no 50-50 players prior to yesterday, and now, there is one. And that's why Ohtani, of course, got that ovation. It was funny how Ohtani's success has now kind of, in some ways, you can't say this, but in reality, it's now kind of becoming more important than what the team's doing out there. The team is trying to win a World Series this year. They're in the midst of trying to, of course, clinch the National League West, trying to, clinch the first round bye, which is looking likely now, doing both of those things. But around Major League Baseball and even among LA Dodger fans and among the LA Dodger team, Ohtani's, successes, Ohtani's excellence on the field is what's now at center stage. And I think it's awesome that it's happening the way it's happening, right? Because it would be too bad if it was happening with the Dodgers like already out of the playoffs, if they were like a team that wasn't any good, or worse, let's say the Dodgers were fighting to get into the playoffs and it was like so close that people wouldn't be able to really just sit down and celebrate Ohtani. Luckily, it's happening in a way that I think fans are able to enjoy Ohtani's excellence, like I mentioned, his success on the field without, really losing sight of the team, right? Because, right now, the Dodgers, of course, expected, magic numbers now 5. Things are looking pretty good right now in terms of clinching the division, even clinching the 1 or number 2 spot. So fans can just kind of sit down and enjoy and absorb Ohtani for what he is, basically how he's making history night in, night out is definitely something that's pretty extraordinary, to say the least. Ohtani, of course, today had the 2-run shot and it had a stolen base. And Ohtani, that home run was just wild because it was a ball that was like almost near his head. It was pretty crazy. That was clearly a ball, and he somehow is able to just hit that so far away. It's just so wild, the power that Ohtani has right now in his swing. The ball is like a beach ball for him out there right now, which is pretty crazy. What we're watching. That was basically, Dodgers gained, of course, the W tonight, but wow, I mean, we're still. It's just funny how Dodger fans around the world were still kind of, really shocked by Ohtani. I think everybody's still feeling that shock from yesterday. I mean, going into Thursday afternoon, I was thinking, there's a possibility Ohtani can hit a couple home runs today and reach the 50-50 mark. But he ends up going 6 for 6, 10 RBIs. I mean, that is just something incredible. 3 home runs. I mean, it was just shocking, but a very just awesome experience. Wasn't at the park in Florida yesterday. Watching it on TV was was quiet. I'll never forget Thursday afternoon's game. Never forget it. I'll never forget how Otani set this mark, and then today I'll never forget, of course, the ovation he received. That is something that will always be, I think, in Dodger fans' memory and minds for years to come. His first game back after the long road trip, first game back after setting the 50-50 mark. And, there's still history to be made. I mean, there's still games left. What I was thinking about is the question is whether Otani is going to play the rest of the season. Is he going to actually play every single game? Because there's going to be, hopefully, some games that don't mean anything at the end of the year. That's what we're all hoping for. But Otani is an everyday player. I mean, the guy doesn't miss games, and he may want to play every game. That's something to keep an eye on. Is he going to want to play every game that's left this season, despite maybe that series in Coors Field not meaning much, or even maybe the last game against San Diego, or the last two games against San Diego not meaning much? They might not mean anything. They might already have clinched division. You might have already clinched the second spot. You'd be playing for the number one spot, which maybe, that's what I think Dodger fans will say. Well, Mike, they're still going to be playing for that number one spot. They're currently tied with the Phillies. And yeah, you could be right. I mean, the Dodgers could, really see that that's very important. Play for that number one spot, because in a possibility of playing the Phillies in the NLCS, they would have home field if they're number one. So that's when the motivations to finish number one would come in. And of course, finishing with the best record possible in terms of maybe potentially getting home field in the World Series. We're definitely thinking ahead. But yeah, the Dodgers we'll see how they play it out. I just wonder if they're really going to want to risk everything near the end of the year, knowing that most likely an extended break is coming. It's just a lot of questions on whether Otani is going to get that opportunity to play all the games. Or, personally, like I said, I think he personally is going to want to play all the games himself. There'll be other players that will probably sit down, but Otani, my prediction, he's probably going to play every game. He's a guy who never wants to miss ball games. And, today, Dodgers got a bullpen W. Winning, of course, 6-4, but the big story was a bullpen. It was a bullpen game for the Dodgers today, and they did pretty solid. There were some innings that were a little, a bit of a struggle. Michael Kopech giving up a home run there at the end, and there were of course some struggles giving up some home runs in this game, but the bullpen was definitely solid tonight, which is always good. That's what the Dodgers need. The pitching is a question mark. Even quoting Fred Rogan of AM 570 this week, kind of talking about he's concerned about Dodger pitching in the playoffs. I would agree with him as well. And that's going to be the one concern for this team, whether the pitching can hold up, if they have enough with all the injuries. And, with the offense that they have, is it really going to continue through the playoffs? How is Otani going to look in the playoffs? What kind of numbers is he going to put up? They're going to need big numbers from all these big hitters if they're going to want a chance at a World Series. And a standings update, Padres winning extra innings, unfortunately, so they're still 4 back. Of course, with the Dodgers winning. But, honestly, I think after, the last couple days and, the way the Dodgers have been now winning ball games, I mean, they've now won, 3 in a row, winning, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday now. I mean, the Dodgers are in a much better position now, I think, to win this division and, of course, clinch the number 1 or number 2 spot. I think it's, it's not mathematically impossible for them to fall out of it, but it's not looking likely. Dodgers are on their way. These wins are huge, and it's just a matter of time before that magic number 0. I really think the Dodgers are very, very close. Maybe not this weekend, but probably Tuesday through Thursday, they're going to be cracking some champagne at Dodger Stadium. Make sure to subscribe, and let's go Dodgers.